All right, welcome to the on-demand session of Email Camp Message Mania. We're going to be talking about attitude adjustment, how to rehabilitate your domain reputation for improved inboxing and deliverability. By way of a quick introduction, I'm Tyler. I'm the head email marketer at Hypermedia Marketing. I started email marketing about 7 years ago, and I was working at a very small marketing automation agency, and I trained users how to set up automated workflows using Infusionsoft, or Keep as they've rebranded to. And in 2019, I left to start my own agency. And since then, we've been running email for some of the biggest brands, and we've sent over at least 100 million emails on behalf of our clients. So what we're going to be covering today is how to rehabilitate a damaged domain so that you get your emails back into the inbox. And so we're going to cover the tech, how you have to have your email infrastructure set up for deliverability and improved inbox placement, what tools you need to monitor your deliverability and inbox placement, the keys to understanding mailbox providers' goals and motivations so you can use the algorithm to help get more of your emails back to the inbox, what segments to use so you can actually further leverage the mailbox provider algorithms and get more of your emails back to the inbox, the exact process we use to rehabilitate our client domains, and how to leverage your welcome flow to get excellent deliverability from the very beginning. And the reason you want to focus on improving your domain reputation is because when you improve your domain reputation, it lifts all other KPIs and metrics related to email marketing. Everything gets better as you improve your domain reputation. So let's go ahead and jump right into the tech. What is the needed tech that you need to get most of your emails to the subscriber's inbox? First, the thing that you need to set up is the sender policy framework. So essentially what the sender policy framework does is it lets mailbox providers know that the email, wherever that email is coming from, is okay, right? So if you are using something like Outlook or Gmail or HubSpot or anything like that, SendGrid, to send out your emails, they need to know, meaning the mailbox providers need to know that where that email is originating from has permission to send the email on your behalf. The second key tech piece here is your domain keyed identified mail, DKIM. And what this does is this helps protect against spoofing. It allows the receiver, so again, mailbox providers, to check that your email is okay from your domain, that it was authorized. It's almost like a digital signature on the bottom of that email saying, yes, this email was okay from my domain. And then the last key piece is domain-based message authentication, reporting, and conformance, or DMARC. And essentially what this does is this just tells mail servers how to handle emails that fail SPF checks or DKIM checks, and provides you, as the sender, reports about those failures so that you can better manage your deliverability. Especially with DMARC has gotten way more important, especially with some updates from Yahoo and Google earlier this year, where that DMARC record is essential for any bulk sender. And even if you're not considered a bulk sender, it's still best practice to set that up because it helps. It's a strong signal to mailbox providers like Gmail and Outlook that your emails are legitimate. Next, we'll move into the tools, how to actually monitor your deliverability and inbox placement. So first, we have tools that are provided by mailbox providers. So I'm showing the example of Google Postmaster here. And essentially what Google Postmaster does is it gives you reports on how Gmail is looking and viewing your domain and your sending behavior. There are also Yahoo Senders Hub They're revamping it right now, but it's going to work, from my understanding, very similarly to Google Postmaster, where now you'll be able to see how Yahoo is seeing your domain reputation and how they're seeing your sender behavior. And then there's also Microsoft SNDS, which functions in a very similar manner. Essentially, these are tools that have been created by mailbox providers, Google, Yahoo, Microsoft, to give you feedback on how they view your sending practices. Next, you have a tool like MX Toolbox. This is really useful for diagnosing and troubleshooting deliverability issues as it relates to, do you have DMARC set up correctly? Do you just have one DMARC record? I actually ran into this with another client who had a list of about 500,000 contacts, and they built that list primarily through cold email. And so they had a ton of deliverability issues. And through working with them, we were able to recover their domain reputation. And then out of nowhere, just all of their engagement died. And as we did research, somebody had added a second DMARC policy to their domain, and it just tanked everything. So the way that we figured that out, though, was by plugging the domain into MX Toolbox. So it's a very, very handy tool for diagnosing and troubleshooting the tech tied to your domain and spotting potential issues. Next, deliverability testing software is very, very useful in identifying, one, do you even have a deliverability or inboxing problem? And then two, which mailbox providers are causing issues, right? You may have excellent inboxing for Gmail, but Microsoft you're struggling with, or vice versa, or maybe it's Yahoo that you're struggling with. These deliverability testing software like Mailgun Optimize allows you to test different inboxes, different mailbox providers, and see where you're landing in the inbox. So then you can make educated decisions on how to rehabilitate for specific mailbox providers. Next, we have email validation tools like Mailgun Validate, where essentially you are uploading your list of emails, and it's a tool that verifies email addresses are real and valid, that they're not bots, honeypots or spam traps, those types of things. So it helps support list hygiene, it reduces your bounce rates, and it overall improves your deliverability. Those are the biggest tech pieces and tools that you need to have in place to ensure that your emails are getting to the inbox. Next, we're going to talk about the keys. Now, I've always found the best way to describe deliverability and inbox placement is through the use of signals. Now, what do I mean by signals? With any algorithm, particularly with mailbox providers, you have positive signals that positively impact the algorithm, and you have negative signals which negatively impact the algorithm. And the more positive signals you can get tied back to your domain, the better your deliverability, the better your inbox placement is. Everything gets better with more positive signals. So what are those positive signals? Well, we don't know the algorithms specifically, but there are things that we have tested, that we have seen, and can consider a positive signal. So those positive signals would be emails opened by the subscriber, emails replied, emails clicked, emails forwarded, even previous engagement date. So if you're sending 3 emails in a week and a subscriber opens all 3 of those emails, that is a big positive signal that your content is important and relevant to that subscriber. Things like time of user can be a positive signal. It can also be a negative signal, but it's a big positive signal. If a subscriber stars your emails, if they mark it as important, even things like dwell time. So how long is somebody staying on that email consuming the content? If the algorithms can see that this is a fairly lengthy email and somebody clicks into it, they stay on it for a second and they bounce out, that's a negative. That could be seen as a negative signal, versus if the algorithms understand that the content is long and somebody stays on that email for a minute or 2 minutes and they scroll through it, that's a big positive signal that email was relevant and important to that subscriber. And the more of those positive interactions and positive signals that you collect, the more likely it is that those email algorithms will view your domain as a VIP sender. Now, what are some negative signals? Again, we don't know the algorithms, specifically, but there are things that we can assume would be negative signals. And to give you a few of those would be things like, does the subscriber delete your email without ever opening it, right? That's a signal that means that subscriber was not interested in your content. Did they archive the email without opening? Did they open the email and marked it as spam? Or did they not open the email and mark it as spam? Again, dwell time. So all of those things, even things like filtering into a folder that never gets checked, could be a negative signal. And the more negative signals that you accumulate to your domain, the worse your inbox placement is going to be. So the goal is to maximize those positive signals and minimize the negative signals. Now, what we found outside of writing better content and sending more relevant content to your email list is really using certain segments on your list to kind of game that algorithm and flood your domain with those positive signals. So what are the segments that we typically set up for clients who come to us and they're struggling with deliverability and inbox placement? We really look at 3 specific segments. So you can see here, again, when you're thinking about these segments, and I'm sure that even as I'm talking, you're already thinking, okay, if I need to maximize these positive signals, here's some segments that I could send to, right? So the goal of these segments is to build up a strong sender reputation, and you need to accumulate as many positive signals back to your sender domain as possible. So the 3 segments that we really look at are going to be, first, engagement history. So we set up reports in the ESP platform for 0 to 7 days. Anybody who has, and we count engagement as an email opened, an email clicked, or an email replied, in 0 to 7 days, the last 8 to 30 days, 31 to 60 days, 61 to 90 days, and then 91 to 180 plus days, right? So we set up those 5 segments there. Then going back to using a tool like Mailgun Optimize, we can see data around which mailbox providers are we struggling to get to the inbox to, and which ones are we okay with. And so based off of that data, we'll set up saved reports for email domains. I want to pull in all Gmail users into one segment. I want to pull in Yahoo users into subscribers into another segment. What about Microsoft? What about, your Apple users? And then we have like an other one for, your customized URLs that don't fit in Gmail, Yahoo, Microsoft, or Apple. Then the next thing we do is we look at purchases. We want to segment out buyers versus non-buyers, because again, the goal is to maximize your positive signals. And so we know that buyers are typically going to give you a positive signal versus non-buyers, right? So these are the 3 segments that we'll set up and look at, and we'll kind of mix and match them. So you can see here, we'll mix and match these list segments to maximize positive signals, right? So to give you 3 examples, subscribers who have engaged in the last 0 to 7 days, who have also purchased something and have the gmail.com domain, right? We want to send them through the rehabilitation process because we know that they are going to give us a ton of positive signals, right? Same thing with the second one, engaged last 0 to 7 days, non-buyers, and our Yahoo. We know that's more than likely that they're going to also give us positive signals. Engaged, the third one here, as an example, engaged last 8 to 30 days, plus buyers, plus Microsoft domain. We know that because they have previous recent engagement and they've taken a positive action already, and they're, by using Mailgun Optimize, we've been able to see that our emails are already getting to that inbox. We're able to maximize the chances of us gathering a positive signal. Now compare that segment to a segment of non-buyers who haven't opened an email from you in the last, let's say 365 days. Just even taking those two, they haven't opened an email from you in the last 365 days, a year, and they haven't purchased anything. It's going to be hard to get a positive signal out of that group of people, right? So we want to mix and match the list segments to maximize these positive signals, because the accumulation of those positive signals is what builds up and or rehabilitates your sender reputation. So now let's get into the actual rehab process. So the segments that you need to set up, right? You have the tech infrastructure in place. You've set up SPF, DKIM, and DMARC. You've used Mailgun Optimize. You've used Mailgun Validate. You've set up Google Postmaster Tools and Microsoft SNDS, and looking at Yahoo's Sender Hub as well. Now it's time to actually rehabilitate your domain. So how exactly do you do that? So the first thing, and I'm going to keep stressing this, is you want to front load all of your positive signals, because the more positive signals that you can accumulate to your domain, the faster your sender reputation heals or is rehabilitated. And one of the fastest ways that you can do this is by generating replies, right? So we're looking to front load those positive engagement signals. And the best way to do that is by focusing on generating replies from subscribers. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of play a little game with the email list. We're going to minimize our negative signals and maximize our positive signals with segmenting, right? Or with sub-segmenting. So if you go back to the overall segments here, we'll take this one, for example, engaged last 0 to 7 days plus buyers plus Gmail, because you're getting good inboxing there, let's say. So you create a segment of that group of subscribers in your email list. And let's say that it's 1,000 people. What we're going to do is we're actually going to take that 1,000 people and we're going to further segment it down to a very, very small group. So I like to start out with 50 subscribers in a group and have a few different groups of 50 subscribers. Then I go up to 100, then 200, then 400, 600, 800, then 1,000. And the purpose of only sending to these really, really small groups at the very beginning is kind of twofold. So the first purpose of this is you're testing your email content to see how these subscribers are responding. So you want to make sure that you've kind of dialed in that content first. The other thing is, I know that segment of engaged last 0 to 7 days buyers who are in a domain that I'm already inboxing to, I know that I'm going to get lots of positive signals, but there is a risk that I'll also start accumulating negative signals even with that segment. So by sending to these really small subgroups first, you're able to really maximize those positive signals, right? Like if you send out to those 50 subscribers, it's not unreasonable to expect that you could get an 80% open rate with, a 50% reply rate. And as the algorithms are seeing those numbers flow through, it really helps boost up very, very quickly your sender reputation. So keep in mind, these are randomized subsegments of the lists and segments that you created earlier. Again, engaged 0 to 7 days plus Gmails plus buyers, right? So start off with really small groups, see how they react throughout the rehab process, update the emails as needed so you can get better, maximize those positive signals. And if they're responding very, very positively, then great. You don't have to touch anything. You just keep sending through the next group the next day, and you slowly expand who you're sending to. So once you're finished with engaged 0 to 7 days plus Gmail plus buyers, then you just swap out the engaged 0 to 7 days to 8 to 30 days, right? And you send them through the same process. Then you expand it a little bit more and you go to engaged 31 to 60 days plus Gmail plus buyers, and you send them through this process, right? So you're slowly expanding your reach. But the biggest benefit here by doing it is because you've healed or started to rehabilitate your domain or your sender reputation, more of those emails are reaching more inboxes, which is driving up engagement and giving you more opportunities through your email marketing program. So what does the email rehabilitation process look like? So it's 4 emails with a 3-day wait between each email, and each email is optimized for replies, right? So email 1, typically we in the projects that we work on will offer some sort of free resource, and we position it like many people have tried this before, many have failed at it. Reply with your biggest challenge around X topic, and we'll send over a resource, right? So again, what you're doing is you're trying to prompt that reply, because that reply is like digital gold when it comes to inbox placement. Then we wait 3 days and we follow up on that first email, right? So follow up, haven't heard back from you yet. Can I send something over that will help you with, X topic? So now we're kind of being a little bit more, not aggressive, but more assertive, right? We really want to send this to you. Just reply back. Let me know if I can send it over, right? Now, email 3, we shift a little bit, and now we're asking them to click, because replying back to an email, it's easy, but it can be seen as a really big ask. And so we want to back off from that. And what we do is we say something along the lines of, hey, we just released this new video, blog, this new social media post, kind of whatever. Thought you'd be interested, click here, go consume it. And we kind of back off of that big ask of replying and try to generate that click. And then the last thing that we do is we ask for a reply on email number 4. Now, I like using a no-oriented question. I kind of swiped this from Never Split the Difference. That book, if you've ever read it, he has a good section there around no-oriented questions. But essentially, these are questions that are designed to elicit a no response. But I found them to be very, very powerful for subject lines. So a few examples are, have you given up? Are you satisfied? Are you looking for, why? Anything that kind of prompts a no response on the receiving side can typically really incentivize people to open that email and engage with it. So that is the overall process that we use. Now, if somebody doesn't reply to these emails, kind of depending on what engagement tier they're in, we may just end up removing them out of our active marketable list at this point, because they haven't replied, and it could be that it's been a while since they engaged. If somebody does reply positively or they engage with the emails multiple times, then we'll keep them in our active marketable list. And that is how you begin to rehabilitate. And then the last thing that I want to cover quickly is the welcome flow. And the welcome flow is one of the more critical campaigns or flows that you can have, because statistically it should have some of the highest engagement, because somebody just opted in, they're expecting to receive emails from you. And so if used properly, the welcome flow can really make a big difference in your email deliverability and inboxing. So the goal of the welcome flow, in my opinion, are threefold. So 1, you want to use the welcome flow to improve inbox placement. 2, you want to enhance engagement, right? So you want to keep people engaged for a long amount of time. And then 3, we also want the welcome flow to make you money. that should be one of the goals, helping you make money. So what does the welcome flow that we implement for clients really look like? Well, there's typically 7 emails in here, all spaced out by a day. And we have really specific goals for each one. So email 1 is, the goal is to reply back. And we typically will send this from an executive assistant or a VA on the team that is attached to the CEO. It really stands out in somebody's inbox, where if they get an email from an executive assistant, like, it's their whole job to manage somebody's inbox, right? And so it feels very real. Email number 2 is, the company history admission or the CEO history admission, and it comes from the CEO. Email number 3 is connecting on a secondary channel. Email 4 is a survey. You're trying to collect that zero-party data of demographics, content topics, and buying stage. Email 5 and 6 shift into a soft sell, where you're putting testimonials and social proof in front of them. Email 6 is overcoming objections. And then number 7, if they haven't replied back at this point, we're using that no-oriented question strategy again to prompt a reply. So here's what these emails typically look like. So email number 1, again, the goal is to reply back. This is coming from the VA or executive assistant, right? So my name is VA's name, and I'm the CEO's assistant. Got a notification that you grabbed an opt-in earlier, or you could change this to read, that you joined the list earlier. Were you looking for more information about core product or service? If so, let me know. I'll pass the message. Our main focus is this. Now, this is, if done well, this is a banger of an email. This email for one of my clients consistently generates over $44,000 of new revenue for them every single month. Now, no promises, no guarantees that that's going to happen for you, but this email gets a very, very good reply rate and often can lead to new revenue. Email number 2 is a message from the CEO where you're establishing those expectations right here. This is the key piece, is the 1, 2, and 3, where you're telling them exactly what to expect, how many emails, something that they can engage on, and then a reminder of the brand guarantee. What are you looking for them to do as a reminder that eventually you're going to ask them to buy something, right? Email 3, connecting on a secondary channel. Now, I found that this is somewhat unique to my strategies here. I know that of a few other email marketers that do this, but the idea behind this one is when you get a new lead come in, and if the only place that you are connected with them is via email, and they ever unsubscribe, well, it's kind of it, right? Like, we're done emailing them, and we can't get our content back in front of them. So by prompting them to connect with you on a secondary channel very early on, it allows us to kind of take a step back, breathe a sigh of relief, and know that if they ever do unsubscribe, there's a second channel that we can use to continue getting content in front of them. Now, the 2 rules that I have for this are, 1, you need to try to choose a channel, and you're going to have to go with your gut on this one, but you kind of need to choose a channel that they check at least twice a month. And then the other piece is you want a DMing feature. That way you can get personalized information in front of them should they ever unsubscribe from your email list. Email number 4, new subscriber survey. So I love this one because the 3 goals of the survey are, you're trying to collect topic information. That way you can write more relevant emails to them. You want to find out where they came from, right? And where are they spending attention online, so you can create some advertising efficiency. And last, you can ask questions about their buying stage. So then you can segment them based off their buying stage and follow up with the leads who are very interested, high intent with your sales team, versus everybody else can continue going through your nurture sequences here. Email 5 is social proof. This is where we kind of shift to some soft call to actions, and we proactively put some social proof in front of them with a soft call to action of, scheduling, purchasing, ordering, whatever the next best step for you is. Put that in front of them using social proof. Then we move into frequently asked questions, where we're looking to overcome common objections so that they can, again, move forward through the sales pipeline. And email number 7 is that reply back. I like using, have we failed you in some way? Because it's positioned as a customer experience type thing. And so we noticed, core CTA hasn't been scheduled or done yet. If now isn't the right time, or it may not be a good fit, that's fine. But your experience with us is important to me. Have we failed in some way, right? You're prompting that feedback. If you haven't failed and they've enjoyed their time with you, this email gets a pretty good response. And you get oftentimes some additional feedback around like why they haven't scheduled with you. Now isn't the right time. I couldn't get funding approved. I'm actually switching jobs. And so I want to stay connected to you, but I'm just not staying at this company. And so this one does generate a lot of positive replies. Now, if you look at the overall strategy, you can see that these emails, because we're getting those replies, helps us build up our sender reputation, which means that we're getting to subscribers' inboxes. Because we're collecting positive signals, we're also able to increase and extend the amount of time that our subscribers are engaged with us. And then last, because we're asking people to move forward in the right way and we're prompting it in a non-salesy way, oftentimes the welcome flow can make you money. So it's accomplishing the 3 goals that it has that I said at the beginning of this. So again, kind of in conclusion, you can have the best email copy in the world and the best email design in the world. But if your emails are caught by spam filters, it doesn't matter because no one is reading them anyways. And too many brands are losing money left and right simply because their emails aren't landing in their subscribers' inboxes. So use the domain rehabilitation and welcome flow to maximize those positive signals and keep your emails in subscribers' inboxes. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for attending this on-demand session. I will be checking the chat, so go ahead and throw your questions, your comments, your thoughts, all of those things. Go ahead and throw those in the chat because I will be monitoring that and I will respond as soon and as quickly as I am able. Thank you again so much. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.